I'm Jonathan Colburn, the Urban Forestry Manager for the City of Jacksonville. I'm charged with managing about 3,800 miles of right-of-ways across the city.
My name is Joe Anderson. I'm a vegetative management specialist with JEA. Basically, I try to mitigate the conflicts between utilities and trees.
I'm Shanell Davis-Bryant. I'm the principal of Sage Growth Solutions, and I also work as the manager of community adaptation projects for Groundwork USA. And my role in urban forestry is around education with youth, as well as working with nonprofits that have urban forestry programs and helping them develop their programming and their systems.
Dustin, Felix. I'm a Florida registered landscape architect. And so I guess my role in the urban forestry is that I design outdoor spaces. Maybe a public plaza, a commercial development, a residential yard, streetscapes.
My name is James Hyatt. My job title is Tree Care Operations Manager at Yellowstone Landscape, which is 3 crews. We do tree removal, tree pruning, tree care, cabling and bracing.
My name's Larry Figart, and I'm the Urban Forestry Extension Agent. I work for the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences. We just call it IFAS. What I do is I teach people about trees. So that can be everything from commercial arborists to homeowners to municipal governments.
My name is Jen Burnham. I am the Nursery and Operations Manager at Liberty Landscape Supply, and my role is to make sure everything goes as smoothly as possible here at the nursery and order in all the plant material.
No, I didn't always plan to be in the job that I have right now. So I want to say unexpected turns, kind of, sort of. So before JEA, I was a career park ranger. You can't anticipate what doors are going to open or what thresholds you're going to have to walk through.
This is very unexpected for me. I didn't settle into urban forestry until about a little bit more than a decade ago. I did graduate studies in anthropology, specifically with primates. Prior to that, I was studying with juvenile gulls in the Puget Sound in Washington State, and before that, I did an undergraduate degree in biology. So for me, this was very unexpected to arrive at this destination.
So my original plan was actually wildlife and fishery science with Penn State. Outdoors and nature has always been my passion. So I ended up working in a garden center at Lowe's at the age of 19. And I am almost 48 and have been working in the nursery industry ever since. It kind of caught me and I've been stuck since.
Long story short, I used to work for USAID. I had been active duty U.S. military. I was a military history major. Eventually, I was outside gardening one day, and my wife came home and said, there's this thing called landscape architecture that's being taught at the university where I work at. Maybe you should look at that as a master's program. And I just knew it right then and there. I'm going to do that.
I graduated from the University of Florida with a degree in forestry, and my intention was to work in the woods like typical foresters do, plant pine trees and manage pine trees for paper products. And so when a job as an urban forester came up, I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'll try it. And so 40 years later, I'm still doing the same thing.
No, when I went to undergrad, I wanted to work for USAID in the Balkan areas or in former Soviet states. So I studied Russian. I knew I wanted to work in some way with environmental policy as well as working with the built and the natural environment in a fashion that can coexist natural systems as well as human systems.
I did not plan to work in this industry. I planned to be a civil engineer. Got out of high school. A friend of mine trimming trees asked me to come help him. I seen him swinging through the tree like Superman. I'm like, man, that's really cool. It intrigued me, made me want to learn it. I started getting into it. Next thing you know, I got with a really good company and I got all my training and went on from there.
So typically a person in my position has either a bachelor's or a master's degree. You could have a PhD too, but a minimum of a bachelor's. And that would be in forestry typically or a related discipline. As far as training goes, you really need to know about tree biology and ecology. And then certifications, it's typical to have the ISA certification for arboriculture. I'm a board certified master arborist, and some people also have a tree risk assessment qualification.
In my particular field, it is required with at least JEA to have at least a Bachelor of Science degree in a forestry-related field. It's also required to have an ISA arborist certification, a Florida State herbicide applicator's license. That would be required.
Training is definitely necessary for like safety, proper pruning, proper PPE. And then once you transition into climbing, you need to know how to do gear inspection, learning rope techniques, rope angles. There's a lot of math that goes into tree care. Depending on what area in the industry you want to go, but absolutely suggest getting your certified arborist, Class A CDO license, TCIA certifications. ISA also has the tree risk assessment certification, tree worker certification. So there's plenty of things out there to get certified, and everything is just going to help you.
With the University of Florida, we are required to have master's degrees as extension faculty. However, they give you time to earn that. So I started out with just a bachelor's in forestry, and they gave me 7 years in order to get my master's degree. And it needs to be in your related field. My degree is a master's in agricultural education, so it helps me do training, be ready to teach people, because essentially that's what I do.
In Florida, to be a landscape architect, you have to have a degree from an accredited university, either an undergrad or a graduate degree. You have to finish off 4 national exams. In Florida, you have to take a Florida-specific exam that you have to apprentice for 1 year. And then once you've passed those 5 tests and you've apprenticed, you submit your paperwork and you can get your license to be, or your registration to call yourself a landscape architect. You can, in some cases, actually work for a landscape architect for 6 years if you don't have the degree, and then sit for your tests. There's still that option.
So that's a tough one, because I do think education is super duper important, but I don't think there's actually any requirements if you're willing to learn on the job itself. This is an industry that is superb at hands-on learning, and if you come into it with the right attitude, you can learn something new every day. So a formal education I don't think is an absolute, definitely helpful, but be willing to learn. There's room for growth and education daily.
I am an FNLGA certified maintenance technician as well as horticulturalist. And this is a statewide certification program that really gives you the in-depth knowledge to do maintenance and also tree and plant identification. It's very, very good training for someone who wants to introduce themselves to this field.
Typical day in my specific career is a little bit chaotic, and it can be very, very smooth. So I am also handling the operations side of a nursery, which is a little bit different. That requires checking irrigation when you're first at the property, making sure you're paying attention to frost warnings or drought periods. That would be our initial start to the day. The rest of that follows up with ensuring our customers have the deliveries of plants and aggregate that they've ordered, ensuring our installers have the plant material that they've needed for a job, and then ensuring our customers here at the property have a full nursery to shop from. And so in the meantime, training everyone to keep that alive, to look for pests, to look for disease, to be able to assist customers with all the appropriate answers and offer solutions. It's a pretty full day.
There is not a typical day in extension. In Duval County, we have over 1 million residents, and so they all have the access to extension. So they will call, email, come by and visit with all kinds of questions and problems related to trees. In addition to that, I'm responsible for doing educational programs. I do a lot of programs with arborists and helping them get their continuing education credits, or teaching homeowners how to prune or hire arborists, things like that.
There isn't really a typical day. Depends on the client that I'm working with. I could be doing things like writing the newsletter, in a meeting talking with the tree commission, or I could be out in the field doing a volunteer day. It's really a gamut. There's so many things to do.
My work entails answering a lot of emails and usually using some kind of technology to achieve an answer that's the right thing for the city. I also, get phone calls throughout the day and things like that. Occasionally I'll go out of the office. Usually it's for either an issue that's really important, or else it's because I'm training staff to do something that they haven't done before.
Primarily, my job will be preventative maintenance. I'll be involved with assessments, evaluations, inspections of trees, inspections of certain circuits and wires and equipment and things of that sort. But another large part of my day would be assisting others in the mitigation of conflicts between trees and utilities. We're involved a lot with trying to balance the reliability and safety of the utility with the sustainability and resilience of the tree canopy or a tree.
There's probably a model day. I would say if everything was perfect over the course of a year, I probably was spending 2/3 of my time in my studio either sketching a concept or taking that concept and putting it into a computer-based drafting program, AutoCAD. The other third of the time is going out and meeting with clients, meeting potential clients. I think it's very important to sometimes just get out and go see other sites.
Typical day in my job is get to the shop, coordinate with my superintendent, help him coordinate to all my leaders and my team. I sit back and oversee them doing their pre-trip inspections, getting everything they need for the day, making sure nothing's getting missed. And then after that, we roll out to the job site. Me and my superintendent will split. Like I'll take 2 crews, he'll take 1 crew, and we'll visit the job sites, do a job briefing, just go from there. Sometimes there's more technical jobs that may need my skill level or my superintendent's skill level. And that's when we'll step out onto the job sites and actually work with the crew. And when we do that, we do on-site training to help with development in our employees.
Most often, my base program is Land Effects AutoCAD. I have to be proficient in Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. Trimble SketchUp. I'm even trying to incorporate a Meta Quest headset because SketchUp allows you to put a VR headset on and then be able to see your site in 3D. Still have to be able to sketch. A lot of what I do is just doodling.
I mostly use Google Workspace, creating manuals, tracking your inventory, getting feedback using Google Forms. And then if you want to make things pretty, I use Canva. You can go a step up further and use things like ArcGIS for doing your tree inventories, but you can also use Google Maps with that. Just a matter of the level that you want to go up for your management tools.
So we definitely take advantage of the drones. We're learning how to use them and how to use them safely. You almost need to if you want to cover the vast territory that we have. And some of our territory where there's wires and transmission lines aren't easily accessible. Of course, there will be industry tools, chainsaws, pole saws, pruners, things of that sort, tree-related. GIS tools are very important, but we need to know where we are. Our maps are all GPS-based, and we're not necessarily following a road map. We may be following a circuit map. Our landmarks are a capacitor bank, a transformer. We're reading these maps, but they're all identified with GIS. GIS helps me get from one point to another and know, really, am I where I really am?
So currently we are using Aspire for field management, and that's specifically just for our installation crews. Overall, we rely heavily on the extension office. I think it's really important to know all of the equipment on the properties that you are working or managing. My most important tool for my team members is having a solid set of pruners and understanding when and how to use them.
There's browser-based systems that help me address spatial issues for service requests throughout the city. And then I use Excel for a lot of data analysis and management. Occasionally I use the R program, which is kind of a modeling and statistics program. I have a truck.
We try to stay pretty up to date with a lot of the new gear that comes out, a lot of the newer equipment that comes out. There's a new versatile lift, new nifty lift, or articulating loader machine that's coming out. We always look at everything, compare it to what we have, and try to see, okay, can we make this better? Can we make it safer? Can we make it more efficient? As in like climbing gear, instead of climbing DRT, you climb SRT. It saves your energy on your body. That way you have more energy to do the work up top. Aspire program, it helps us tremendously with scheduling, communicating with customers, managing the jobs, and making sure that we're making money on the jobs and we're hitting good profits.
There really isn't any high-tech stuff that we are because we go out and visually assess trees or touch or look at a microscope and things like that. So that's about it as far as equipment.
I think overall the biggest thing for me is that I'm working in a very large city with lots of employees. The idea is to advance the program without creating chaos. Being a board certified master arborist, I also have expectations for strong advancement in the city too. I'm always trying to balance that with the need to not change things so much that it causes chaos or an increase in cost to the city. I'm looking for efficiencies, I'm looking for advancement.
Anticipating what your customers are going to want, anticipating what the season may bring. We just had a pretty significant winter for the first time in a few years, and that's wonderful for this industry because that means a big boom in sales. That also means a big boom in those materials are gone. So really anticipating your seasonal needs, watching for your weather. We go through ups and downs. Know when your rainy season is, know when your dry periods are. It keeps you on your toes. The exciting stuff is there's always something new, whether it's a new plant plant that has been released on the market, a new bug that came in from South Florida and you're not sure what to do with it, there's just always something to be aware of and looking for.
So the thing I like most about my job is I get to serve people. I get to help them. I get to help them solve their problems. Hearing people's responses and getting feedback from other people is the enjoyable part of my job. The challenges are, again, this is a county of 1 million people, so I can't serve everybody all the time. It's just challenge scheduling all those folks and making sure you're trying to meet everybody's needs and getting all that taken care of as reasonably quick as you can.
The number one challenge in urban forestry is explaining in a way that's meaningful the value of trees so that it connects with the person. The thing that I'm most excited about is that so many people are coming to the realization that trees are important infrastructure. It's the conversation around trees as an infrastructure tool has really shifted, and that's been very exciting.
At first, the challenges for me was development. It's not just about trying to develop someone into a tree climber. It's more or less developing a person into a more professional person.
Well, the challenge is always that you never have enough budget. You always have underground utilities. Sometimes you have differences of opinions between the client, the architect, the civil engineer. You're always dealing with some formula of what I can do and what I can't do. It's never as easy as just design away in a complete vacuum. But I mean, on the rewarding side is to actually see something get built that started out as a thought. It's awesome.
I think the biggest challenges over the next 20 years will definitely be having qualified arborists, having people trained in this field. People that have done this for 30 years, they're aging out, making sure that our forestry knowledge isn't lost because the elders in the field are aging out. But I think that's going to be the biggest challenge.
I could say workforce development certainly is. Trying to have the talent tethered to a career and not just a job or not just a wage. That's important. Diseases that we never had before. Development, that's the rate and pace of development that's happening across the state of Florida. One of the other things we're working with is the progressive changes in climate and the severity of the climate that we have to deal with. The intensity of storms, for instance, are definitely something that we're anticipating as well.
So I think the biggest challenge for the industry is going to be really development, getting guys to want to do this, presenting it to someone and letting them see what we do so that way they know if they can fall in love with this or not. And you'd be surprised how many people actually do. If they're taught the right way, they fall in love with it.
I think becoming more and more aware of the effects of what we're doing around the green spaces we have, how that's actually affecting them and what we can do to prevent losing material or stressing them beyond repair. I think that's going to be a very big push going forward, is just really getting familiar with what we have done and how we can work around it to keep as much nature here as possible.
As a society, we do not value green infrastructure. We will cut down a tree or we will move a tree because of a utility line. We don't move a utility line because of a tree. When you're talking with people about a design, and city governments, Jacksonville does this a lot, they'll have a design firm come in and they'll ask people, what do you want to see? And they'll, we love trees. We want shade. We want to have this type of view. We want to have these type of features. When you get people talking, they want greenscape. They want green infrastructure. But as a society, we are still very focused on how are we going to flush the water from the site? Where's the sewage going to go? How are we going to get the electricity in? How much paving can we put down? Where's the building going to go? How big can we get it? And then at the end, it's like, well, let's put some trees on it. But a lot of times what keeps people going back to a place, it's really that greenscape. That's the biggest challenge, is trying to get people to accept that. Climate change is going to be extremely disruptive and is extremely destructive, but it's going to create immense opportunity. Every community in Florida along a coast, every community along a coast in the United States, I think we're facing a period of time where for the next 100 years, we're going to be redesigning. We're going to have to redesign our cities, whether that be trying to make them cooler because of rising temperatures, potentially even moving facilities or buildings away from coastlines because of flooding, designing because of the threat of fire. There is immense opportunity through the destruction that I think climate change is going to bring.
I can say two things Tree climbing's number one because I love climbing trees. It's always been what I love. Number two is tree care and being a professional. That's really what drives me to do what we do. Holding that high standard, being able to provide air spading, lightning protection, structural pruning, cabling and bracing, being able to give the whole package to everyone. That's the key.
There's a bunch of things that I find rewarding. Some of the immediate tangible things are, for instance, I did this program with Greenscape way back in 1992 that involved planting trees in schools. So I can go back to some of those schools and say, I planted that tree. Then the other thing, helping people really. I've been in this community for a long time. I grew up in Jacksonville, and so I get to see the impact that I have.
Learning something new for myself personally. I like being challenged, and taking on new roles and new responsibilities is always a challenge. There is the reward of seeing the people behind me stepping up into new roles where I may have left off, they can come cover the gap. More importantly though, is seeing my team, my associates, become excited about the industry as well. It really becomes a passion, and that's exciting to see. It's exciting to feed into that and to help the learning and growing process of a new generation. I had people that really kind of fostered my passion for this coming into it. And if I can do that for somebody else, then it's all worth it.
I would say that the thing I enjoy the most are the people I meet underneath the tree canopy. If I was to ask you what the purpose of life is, the purpose of life is the people around you. The urban forestry keeps people around you. It keeps you with good people, good places, and good purpose.
It's fun, and it's really amazing watching people plant their first tree. You get to see a physical change. Before, no tree. After, tree. It's very visceral. You get to see it, you experience it. It's not something that's like down the road, there'll be a change, But down the road, you'll have a bigger tree, but it's still like the day one, you get a change.
I like the thought, at least, that I'm creating something. When you've had an opportunity to where somebody says, I want to park, to see that idea grow, and literally grow in the case of landscape design, it's just awesome.
So there's a couple things. I'm a real people person, so watching my staff advance is a big deal. I have a city arborist and an urban forester directly underneath me, and they have staff under them. And every time I get to speak to them and see them go off and do something and succeed at it, or wrestle with a problem, and have to return to it and try again, and see them advance through all those processes, it really brings a lot of fulfillment to me.
There are so many opportunities, so many different avenues that somebody can go. If they don't like being in an office, they can be outside. They can be climbing trees. They can be putting their hands on trees and manipulating them right off the bat, planting them, helping people take care of them. Everything from that to research, to even getting advanced degrees and teaching, all kinds of things in this field.
There's so much opportunity within the tree care industry. You have soil science, climbing trees, chemfert, specialty tree work, cabling and bracing, air spading, marketing. You have sales, you have operations, or even consulting, maintenance. You have mechanics. There's so much that goes into the beast that's called tree care, and it takes everything to run correctly. So I would say just the opportunity to be able to make a career out of it and do what you love doing, being able to have a physical job if you want it, being able to use your knowledge as your job if you want it, is really a reason why you should go into the tree care industry.
So we emphasize a lot here over the last couple of years on STEM. We don't always remember the design part of it. And landscape architects, that's your design. For students, yes, engineering is important, but I would say a lot of engineering is very math-based. Determining the size of a stormwater pond is a math formula. I think design is something that is still inherently a human function because you're designing for people's emotions and their attachment to a site. You can't really engineer that.
The industry isn't going away. You do have a sense of job security in that. The field may change, as all industries do change, but the knowledge that we need to take care of our urban canopies, take care of our natural forests, it's needed. It's needed and it's going to be needed for a really long time. The climate is changing. We want to still have humans living on this planet, so we still need to adapt. I think we're going to need people who know how to steward trees in different manners.
Trees are equalizers. We have them all around us. Everybody walks out their house and they see a tree. It's really neat that we can all share in the urban forest and developing it in Jacksonville. Because of that, it's a fun job. We're all trying to advance the forest. There's very few people that are against that. So that really makes it a fun place to be, everybody wants the same thing, and that's really neat to participate in.
I think it getting your hands dirty and putting in some honest blue-collar work is a lost art. There seems to be this gap in remembering the importance of actually having your hands on something and connecting with earth and connecting with what's actually growing and living. We just kind of forget that there's a whole living world around us. We can kind of get tunnel vision. So I think the generation that's up and coming, 20 to 30-year-olds, they're finding a new appreciation. I think that's incredible, and I think it's something that we should really be encouraging.
It does open your eyes to a bigger world than what a lot of people aren't realize. Nature, for instance. It's not just about the world we live in, the world we create. There's still other worlds out there. There's other components. It will keep you on the edge of your comfort zone, because that's where you grow. You look at a tree. Where does a tree grow? It grows from the outer tips of its branch. And the same with you as a student. You'll find that you'll grow from the outer tips of your comfort zone, and urban forestry will put you right there.
Volunteering. I mean, most high schoolers, you need your service hours. So volunteer with your extension office, volunteer with Greenscape of Jacksonville, any organization that is working with trees or working in the natural environment, just so you can be exposed to it. Talk to your local tree commission, go to your parks department, walking through parks with a tree book and identifying the tree leaves. Those are things that you can do now to get started and get exposed to the field.
Some of the things I see with the youngest students are actually involvement in science fairs. The next would be joining 4-H, joining Future Farmers of America, if not a science club, but then also just culturing a respect for science. Later on, there are opportunities to be interns, opportunities for part-time jobs. Doesn't have to be college. It could be on-the-job training, working in nurseries, working with tree companies. You don't have to be a climber right away. Those opportunities as well.
I recommend to go explore tree climbing competitions, see the environment of the tree care industry with all the amazing people around at these competitions is really the best way to get people to go out there.
Internships are very important, and those can be very short term. They can be as small as participating in a tree giveaway during the course of the summer, going out and planting trees. Those are great opportunities to engage in. Attending tree climbing championships in your state is a really cool way to meet tree professionals and talk about tree biology, but also have a good time while you're at it, just reading books, picking them up, whether that's got to do with the industry that you're looking to be in or whether it's just personal enjoyment. I think it just really develops the mind. I think the last way is to plant and care for your own trees, kind of getting that hands-on perspective, growing a tree and learning more about its health and its structure and the aesthetic ways that you can make trees look. I think that's all very important.
Going out into nature and seeing how other creatures use your site can be very fascinating. One tree on a site's nice, but a cluster of trees can start creating a habitat. There are more and more schools that are offering classes in CAD, computer-aided drafting. That can be very important. And a lot of times my biggest limitation is just sitting down and learning how to use the software program. And so the sooner you start to just gain a familiarity, and you're spending less time fighting the program and you're spending more time designing. An extra 15 minutes might get me that concept sketch that everybody goes, that's it. And then you're not worrying about getting it into CAD because, hey, I'm proficient in CAD.
Talk to the guys and the gals that are currently in the field. Make sure that what the reality is what your expectation is. So definitely get involved. Find the opportunities to get involved with the industry-based organizations, maybe a local tree advocacy group such as Greenscape of Jacksonville. It might be more of a Florida-based, like the Florida Urban Forestry Council or the Florida Society of American Foresters or the Florida ISA chapter, for instance. Get involved in those organizations. Start being around the people and learn the language.
There's lots of really, really good garden clubs, which will help with some of the aspects, and they work with the Master Gardener program. Walking in the woods, what grows naturally in your area? What is it? Why is it here? Why is it successful? Take a few minutes out in nature. You can start to actually understand the process and volunteer as much as possible. I'm sure that there's volunteer programs with the forestry program. I know more specifically the gardening program. Even here, we have volunteers sometimes. The retail side of nursery is a little bit different, but get a summer job working around plants. See if it's something you actually like to do. So get your hands dirty and try it for a bit.
Life is a winding road. Live it, enjoy it, and find your way to urban forestry.